Hi, I'm Lucky. I'm a makeup artist. I'm in my 50s and we're always looking for a foundation that works on our skin, right? Today I wanted to introduce you to this Makeup Forever HD Skin Foundation. I've been using this one for a couple weeks, and one important thing to note is that you have to shake it before you use it. I also want to talk a little bit about tools when you're putting on foundation, because maybe I'm one of the only people in the world who doesn't use beauty blenders that much. I do use them, but sometimes I find a wet sponge messes with the formulation of the foundation. I like to prep the skin. I have all of my skincare on before I do my foundation, and then you think about what kind of coverage you want your foundation to have. And something I really like about this foundation is that it has a real stretchability to it. Sometimes when you're working with a foundation and you try to make it look more sheer, it breaks down a little bit. This one really has this very incredible stretchability. That's the best word I can think of for it. Very much like painting a wall, different tools and different pressure is going to make your foundation appear differently. So if you have a very stiff brush that's very packed, that's going to give you a more opaque look to the skin, and something a little bit fluffier can give you a little bit more of a sheer look, depending on how you use it. If you use something like this and press it into the skin, that can give a really nice opaque look to the skin too. But I also want to talk about underestimating something that's absolutely free, and that is your hands and your fingers. Now, when I started doing makeup backstage at many different fashion weeks over the years, most of the really renowned makeup artists that I learned from used their hands to put the foundation onto the models. So I'm just gonna squeeze a little bit of this out, and I'm gonna go to work a little bit with my fingers. There's just something about applying with your fingertips, especially with a foundation like this Makeup Forever HD Skin, that really allows the product to kind of warm up on the skin. And there's kind of like an intimacy between your own fingers, and you can really feel the product on your skin and how thin or opaque you want it to be. Like, this is really such a thin coat of foundation, and it does a beautiful job of giving me great coverage, but not too much. As we age, less can be more. A good technique is to kind of put a very thin veil of foundation over the skin, and then you can go back in where you feel like you might need a little bit more coverage. And for that, you can use a tool. Like, I love this little brush. It's a very finely packed brush. I don't know if you can see that. I'm trying to get the camera to focus. And it's round. This brush is from Iconic London, and I can go back in then, and this is just with the same foundation. And I like to stipple a little bit of foundation over the areas that need a little bit more coverage. A little bit of broken capillaries, and in some areas a blemish or two, because that's what we love getting in our 50s. Make an assessment of where you need more coverage. I think that this looks close to being pretty good. But really, I love how this foundation creates just this veil over the skin. It's very natural. I can see why they call it HD skin. Now I'm gonna go in with one more pump, And I'm going to use the more dense brush that I showed you earlier. This one is also from Iconic London. And I'm gonna pick up product and start pressing it into my skin. And you can really see how much more coverage I'm getting from this technique and using this tool. And sometimes there is a need for a little bit more coverage, and that's fine. It's a preference thing. My preference is to go a little bit more natural, but we all have our likes and dislikes. And you'll notice that I'm using a stippling motion because a wiping motion like this is going to give a more sheer appearance, and stippling gives you more coverage. Sometimes when I'm doing makeup and I'm doing someone's skin and we balance the skin tone, sometimes people will be freaked out and be like, oh my gosh, I look kind of pale. And it's normal to sort of feel like that because you are knocking a lot of the different tones out of your skin. But you're gonna go back in with your contour, bronzer, blush, etc. So, as you can see, this foundation gives a great full coverage or can look very natural. It really just depends on the tools that you're using. But I really like this foundation for any age really, but especially for skin that is around my age. So thank you, Makeup Forever. This is a beautiful foundation. Full coverage, natural coverage. So I quickly just went and did a kind of basic makeup so that you can see how nice this foundation looks once you've added all the other elements. Beautiful product. Recommend, love.